This video is going to discuss raster cutting on the laser engraver. Now most of this lecture is going to be on the computer, so I'm simply doing a camera shot of my screen as I go around and discuss different aspects of raster cutting versus vector cutting. The easiest way to look at it is raster cutting is engraving into your wood, whereas vector cutting would be cutting something out of your wood. So this one is going to be on rastering, and let me show you a few examples of raster cutting. I pulled up some images online, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different examples. When you're looking for an image to raster cut, the best images are simply black and white. This is an example of either the image is there or it isn't. Now we do have gradients. This is a raster chart about different gradients, and we'll deal with that a little bit more when we get into photos and raster cutting photography like over here. But for the most part, when you're doing words, either it's there or it isn't when you're raster cutting, and those are the best and sharpest images. Now a little bit later we'll get into photography and how to adjust contrast and brightness, darkness, and so forth so that it'll sharpen up the image. Some of these examples, if I look down here, if you look at this one right here, this is just an example of an image I brought up online, and I imported it, adjusted it slightly, and then brought it in as an image, and then just put in some text. When you're raster cutting, the engraver just goes back and forth over and over and over again, similar to a regular printer. And it's just shooting laser beams, heated beams, and shooting different pixels. And you get the sharper the image, there's more pixels, and so that's how it works. Now if I back up too, as I began to do photographs, you have to play with the brightness and contrast, like I said. And this one turned out well. The detail is good, though I didn't like how my son's face turned out. The eyes were not quite what I wanted, but the detail is there. And then this image, just a funny photo from the shop that was taken of me. The detail is better. The brightness and levels are correct. I even like the shine that's on the ductwork. The machines are very easy to tell where they are in the wood shop. And if you get the levels right, doing photography is also very simple. Now if we shrink this down, the first thing that we need to do is find an image that works. So if we go back on here, and I did a simple search for black and white Celtic symbols. You're welcome to find images for sporting things, for logos, for just about anything you want. But the best ones will always be black and white. However, if you can't find black and white images, we can always make them black and white later. So I'll show you how to do that when we get into photos. So a great way to do this is for a Celtic symbol or something like that, is just to find which one you like and click on it and get it as big as you can on the screen. And yes, that does make a difference, and I'll explain why in a moment. What we need to do now is take this image and save it onto my desktop so that we can adjust it a little bit. Simply right-click, go to Save Image As, and it will just say, where do you want to put it? In this place is put it on the desktop, and that's where it defaults to. It's got this string of numbers as a name. Simply call it what you want. We'll just put dragon, and hit save. And then you simply shrink this down. Now the next step is find that image and put it up here, and we're going to use a program called Paint.net. It's a simple free program that I uploaded so that we could use it to adjust some of the images. So I take that and I can drag it onto there, or I can simply come down here at the bottom. You can just see it. Let me enlarge that a little. Click on that and File Import, whatever you want to do, or Open. It all works the same. So here's my image, and you can see that it's not all black. So what I like to do is always, whether it's black and white or colored, always click black and white, and that changes everything. Now you can see it still hasn't quite taken out all of the lighter areas. So we're going to fix that with some adjustments a little bit later. But now at least everything is seen as either black or white. So the next thing we want to do is make that adjustment. Go back to Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and that opens up another screen. And I kind of pull this over so I can see as you change it, everything will be showing up right here. So I can change my brightness if I want, but mostly on this for black and white, I need to change the contrast, and you can see how much darker that black is now getting. So I could lower the brightness or raise it back up. It doesn't really matter, but I need my contrast to be really high, so that's black, definitely black. Once you're happy with that, and you can adjust it as needed, hit OK. And now what I need to do is to get rid of the white, all of the white. When you import this to the laser engraver, while this looks white to the eye, it isn't quite white, it's off-white. So the laser will still go back and forth, and while it won't be much, it'll still laser engrave a little bit of this white. And we don't want that. We want the contrast to be higher. So all you have to do is come to this tool, scroll down on the palette, and there's tons of tools. And really the only one I use here is either wand or eraser, and I'll get into those in a second. Magic wand, right there, click. And I can click certain areas. Now I can click the whole thing, and anything that is that color and connected will turn. It'll grab it. Now you can see it didn't quite get the eye or the nose right there. Okay? So what I can do, if I click off, I can press Shift and click, and now it gets everything that same color. Now if you have a photo that has gradients, a lot of different images, a lot of grays, I can adjust how much it grabs by moving this. Now I'm going to play with that a little more again when I do photos, but in the meantime all you want to do is delete it. Just press delete. There. Now there is no there's no white anymore. There's no background. So all it will see now is this black. So there will be no lasering anywhere where this checkerboard is. The checkerboard means there's nothing there. And then once that's done, that's it. Now if there's a logo on here or a watermark, you can come here and press eraser, and that's pretty tiny. So I come here and I can make the eraser a little bigger, and I can erase certain things. So if I just wanted to erase that, that's fine. Now I just hit back and there it is. So if you need to erase a watermark or a signature or something else that you don't like, the eraser's there, an easy way to do that. Hit Save button right here, save. It'll just ask, are you sure? Yes, okay, that's fine, and then get out of it. So now my image here is ready to go. What we need to do now is put it onto a thumb drive, a little drive that I have in my coat. I have 3 or 4 of them. Put it into the computer, and it opens right up. That's where it is, and you just sit here, grab it, pull it in here, and let it go, and there it is. And we take that to the computer to get it on the laser engraver. Okay? Now for right now, I actually have that software on here. It's CorelDRAW 6, and you'll open it up. And you don't just open up your image. When you go onto the other computer, don't find your image and double click. It's not going to work. Also, you don't want to open, as here's all your menu bars, and I'm not sure why they're difficult to see, but they're here. You don't want to file open image. Okay, you need a new. Either file new, or just hit this button right here. That's new file. Now the only thing you have to worry about here is just the size. If you're doing something for your nightstand, then I would do something else. If it's for your nightstand, you would go new from template. I have templates made up for your nightstand. And here are my templates. These are the ones that came with it. These are the 2 that I made, and they're pretty simple. This one's for the drawer front, and there's another one for the door, which I'll show you in a minute. Just hit drawer front, double click it. This is the size of your drawer front for your nightstand. I've got lines here that show you, essentially that's where the decorative edge will come to, and you don't want to laser engrave beyond that. These aren't seen by the laser engraver. They're just little, I can click and drag and put those anywhere or delete them if I don't like them. Now once you know the size, you can import your image. Now if you're doing a plaque or something like that, even if you're in this already, I can always change it, maybe a 10 by 10 plaque. Just hit enter and there you go, there's your plaque. Now my lines are still there, but the background has changed, and that's what it sees as your size. And you can manipulate these as needed. So let's go ahead and go back. Let's say we're doing a nightstand, drawer front. Now I import. I have to go up here to File. I know it's hard to see. File, Import, and I need to find that image. And in my case, it's still on the desktop, but you'd go down and scroll down to the USB drive, and we'd figure out where it is. But I know I've also got it on the desktop here, and I would just scroll. There it is right there. And then click and drag. And there it is. Now, as you can see, the box, it actually comes here, it's maxed out, but I still have a good amount of room here, and I can make it a little bit oversized. The laser engraver will only see the black, and that's it. Now, here's the tricky part. It's left or right. You're not sure if it's centered. This is 14 inches long. So if I click here and drag it out to 7, that's halfway. And then I simply get this X right here to move it over to about center. Now, if I'm getting really close and I can't quite drag it over because I'm just too zoomed in, hit the left and right keys. There, you can hear me hitting the buttons. Close enough. I'm within maybe a 64th of an inch, and your eye will never be able to tell. All right? That image is now there. I see the distance here is a little bit different, so I just click up a few times and get that evened out. Once you have your image there and set, then we'll get into how to adjust the laser engraver properties so that you're all set. If I want to take this image now and actually put it on the door instead of the drawer front, all you need to do now is File, New from Template, and there's my door. Double click it, and there's the door. Now, when you do that, the file you had before is still open, it's right here. If you hover over top of that icon, I now have two files open, one for the door, one for the drawer front. Simply click here. It's already highlighted, so highlight it, right click, copy, and then go back to your other one and hit right click, paste. And now that image is there. Now, first of all, this is the door template, so what do all these lines mean? This right here is the outline of the center panel. We don't want to engrave past some of these lines because that's where your scoop cut downward is. It gets further away from the laser cutter. And so the further away it gets, the more blurry it's going to get. So you need a flat surface. Now, what is this area right here? If I drew a line, the panel goes from here up and then curves back down. And so this is your drawing area, the flattest part of your panel. So what that means is, let me quick undo that, get back to my grab tool. This can extend up above this line, but only up to here. So remember, it curves down. So I'm trying to make sure that these wings stay on there. So I'm going to go down a little. I guess I'll just use the keyboard and eyeball it. That's approximately centered. That should fit all right. I'm going to go down just a little further to make sure. The thing I don't want is for these wings, if this curves down and it misses a little bit, it's going to look bad. So just leave it about there. There. And again, this is ready to cut. Then you'll go up to your print bar and we'll choose a laser engraver and do the properties from there.